Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días, aquí tienen el horario para hoy, martes el 27 de septiembre. All right, due for today at the end of today is the reflection associated with the film Machuca. Talk about that in just a moment. No homework due for Thursday's class. Daily objective is to learn about and discuss important historical, political, entertainment, and artistic figures from throughout Latin America. And that is tied to, that learning objective is tied to the film that we began last class called Machuca, and that's where your warm-up question is going to be centered around. Gonzalo, the red-headed boy, the main character in the film, enjoys a privilege not afforded to his good friend Pedro Machuca, the dark-skinned, dark-haired young boy. What examples, or at least one example, have you been able to identify in the film thus far? And that's in English. Respond in English on the whiteboards when you have them. We'll continue watching and hopefully finish the film Machuca today to allow you the opportunity to complete your reflection on the film. So just to reiterate what it is I'm asking you to do, partake in a discussion. We began this discussion by reflecting upon important dates in your lifetime that have had a profound impact on you, that will always sit with you and remain with you for as long as you live. 9/11 would be a date for me when I was in high school on September 11, 2001, when the terrorist attacks were carried out on our nation's capital and various monuments throughout the United States. 9/11 is also an important day in the lives of many Chileans. 9/11, September 11th, 1973, when the military coup was successfully carried out by Augusto Pinochet. So as we talked about, the film chronicles this time period through the lives of these two boys, the main characters, Pedro Machuca and Gonzalo Infante, and you guys are going to see the transitions that the country itself go through in this reform movement. We talked about the reform movement that Chile is currently undertaking with the constitutional reform vote that took place just a couple weeks ago. We talked about the rights that you feel can and should be codified in a country's constitution, rights such as the freedom of speech, the freedom of religious expression, the freedom of choice, bodily choice, for women reproductive rights, the freedom of equal access to education, health care, transportation, security, shelter, food, clean water, clean air. All of these things, or many of these things rather, are codified in our country's constitution, and Chile attempted to do the same thing. A little too left-leaning for the liking of many Chileans. They turned it down, or voted it down rather, by a rate of 62%. And so that's kind of the backdrop currently in Chile, and as it relates to when this film was dating back to, or is dating back to. So again, what you're doing for this film is you're doing two things. You're doing, as you've already began to do today in your warm-up, is identifying examples of how these two young men experienced their education differently. They're the same age, they wear similar clothing, go to the same school, same classes, but they have very different experiences. What are some examples of those experiences where the two young men are treated differently in the educational setting or outside, if you want to tie that in? Can you relate to the experiences of either character in any way, shape, or form? You can tie that in as well. And then the main conversation that we're having is, do you think equal access to a quality education is indeed a human right, a civil right, to be codified in a country's constitution? Does everyone deserve the right to pursue and obtain a high-quality education, to be paid for equally by all, or maybe to be paid for in most part by those who can afford it, and to a lesser extent by those who cannot? Is it a human and civil right, quality education? Yes, and why? No, and why not? yes but, no but, and elaborate on your opinions. Share your personal experiences. Tie in the examples of socioeconomic, racial, ethnic, cultural discrimination that we're seeing in the film, and then go ahead and contribute a response of 8 to 10 sentences in English for this assignment. It's what we're going to be working on for the most part today. Our objective, again, learning about and discussing important historical, political, and entertainment artistic figures from throughout Latin America. This assignment, the discussion is due by the end of today. So you have until 11:59 tonight if you need to polish off your opinion.